So tonight is the first night that a new book of mine is being released into the universe, because it seems to me, knowing that the thing the universe needs least is a book of mine, that I have done so, deliberately embracing that paradox. It's my selected articles, which I'm ashamed of. What I'm going to do is read the first 5 pages of it. It's called It Won't Go Well, because it's all poetics. The first essay, article in the book that I shall read from is called The Online Empire on Sex and Poetry. And it begins with an epigraph by Georges Bataille. The whole business of eroticism is to destroy the self-contained character of the participators as they are in their normal lives. You can never discover for yourself what you've been given, bodies and knowledge both. The primary purpose of this book is to worry about the division between the experienced and the perceived, and what is lost between that ever-expanding gap. Bataille suggests that you try to imagine yourself changing from the state you are in to one in which your whole self is completely doubled. He means this to be a disturbance. He reminds us, you would not survive the process since the doubles you have turned into are essentially different from you. Each of these doubles is necessarily distinct from you as you are now, as while you split into 2 new versions of yourself, you cannot be the same twice over. A kind of procreation is what he is suggesting, and the metaphor is about writing poetry, I think. To mark the pages, then release them, is to indulge oneself, fundamentally, in a productive onanism. Cells dividing, with some of that division escaping you. No wonder it feels sad, a letdown, to release things into the world. At some event, I'm watching a panel of speakers talking about something banal. The title is specious. It's designed to intrigue but not offend. It's a turgid literary festival, stuffy and fake, but the panelists keep talking about sex. They are almost battling each other over it. It is awkward and insistent, but not, perhaps, for the reasons they had imagined. They are desperate to appear comfortable with the notion of sex, and in so doing are opening a gap between themselves and sex itself. Gone is anything remotely evocative of the experience from within consciousness. And I do not believe them too. It is a falsehood which is designed to make the audience comfortable while appearing to be discomforting. A letter ocean flits across my mind as I'm actively daydreaming an escape, and it occurs to me there seems nothing more unerotic than poets talking about sex. And it occurs to me there seems nothing more unerotic than poets talking about sex. And it occurs to me there seems nothing more unerotic than poets talking about sex. And it occurs to me there seems nothing more unerotic than poets talking about sex. A teenager on the bus sitting in front of me is watching hardcore pornography on his phone. He doesn't have earphones in, he just has the sound turned right down. I can see there's actually subtitles on the tiny screen. The words change and the bodies rearrange themselves in sequence in different positions. He's watching it and barely moving. He's wearing a school uniform. The actors, they must have to reset for each shot, I think, disengage, as it looks cheaply made, so it's unlikely to be a multi-camera production. They probably resent that. Sex can be inverted, turned inward, evoked by language, but then not only distant, but paradoxically absent in that evocation. Is there, aside from death, a more powerful example of language's limits? Where else is the failure of expression and the hyper-failure of poetic language more readily obvious than when it is discussing fucking? Poetry and pornography are planets around the same sun. They are both smug in their attempt to evoke the subject, and both do damage for this fact. Both pattern the mind to experience and lessen possibility by claiming themselves as insightful to that which they cannot be. They are both modern metaphysics in that way. So how does one write a poetry, or something to that effect, about sex? I'll stop there. Reading next, Robert Bastidas.